Hi again, guys. All right, it's English time. So you're going to need your English hardback and your English workbook. All right, so today we're talking about direct quotations and what they are. A direct quotation contains the exact words a person says. Use quotation marks before and after the words of a speaker. Use a comma to set off what is said from the rest of the sentence. So here are some examples. Javier said, comma, quotation mark, I know a lot about the Panama Canal, period, quotation mark. So there's a comma right here to separate the person speaking and what the person actually says. The quotation marks go around the exact words. You are smart, replied Lucy. Okay, so if the quotation comes first, it's the same thing. We still need quotation marks around what the person says. We still need a comma to separate what the person says and who said it. Okay, which sentence tells Mrs. Becker's exact words? So look at A, B, and C. Yeah, A, okay. So it says Mrs. Becker said, comma, quotation, we will learn about the canal, period, quotation. So it has the comma to separate the person speaking and what the person exactly said. And then it has the quotation marks around what they said. Now, letter B and C, she might have said those things, but they're not the exact words, okay? She might have talked about how the canal is important, but those weren't her exact words. She might have said that ships sail on the canal, but those weren't her exact words. Quotation marks are reserved only for exact words. All right, let's go to exercise 1. Rewrite each sentence, use a comma to separate what is being said from the rest of the sentence. So the quotation marks are already there. We just have to separate who said it and what they said with a comma. All right, so I did number 1, okay, to show you how to do these. So I put Mrs. Becker said, comma, tell me, I can't read it backwards. It shows it backwards in the camera. Tell me about the Panama Canal, period, quotation. Okay, so Mrs. Becker's exact words were, tell me about the Panama Canal. So I needed to separate who said it and what they said with a comma, and the quotation marks were already there. Notice when you're at the end of the sentence, the quotation mark comes after the period, okay? And then here, the comma is not included in the quotation, all right? It comes right after said or exclaimed or yelled or whatever, okay? All right, so that's how number 1 would look. Number 2, I'm just gonna read some of these because I don't have enough space on my board to write them out. So number 2 says, Rick replied, comma, the Panama Canal joins the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Okay. Number 3, Casey exclaimed, comma, that's a long canal. Notice the comma is separating who said and what they said. Number 4, Suzanne added, comma, it is more than 50 miles long. Number 5, Miguel said, comma, the canal was opened in 1914. Number 6, Mrs. Becker asked, comma, who was president when the Panama Canal was built? And now number 7 I wrote out for you because this one they're giving the direct quote first. So number 7, quotation, it was Theodore Roosevelt, comma, quotation, answered Iris. Now, the comma is separating what the person said and who said it, okay? All right, quotation marks are around what they said. Now, they're already there yet, okay? All right, so we just got to remember that the comma separates who said and what they said. So number 8, the Panama Canal has been called the 8th wonder of the world, comma, said Anna. Okay, so we got to remember the comma is going to separate the person speaking and what they exactly said. Now, in part 2, we have to rewrite each sentence. Oh, we already did that together. Hang on. In part 2, rewrite each sentence, put quotation marks around each person's exact words. So I did number 1 and 2 for you. All right. So the sentence is, it takes my ship 8 to 10 hours to travel through the canal, said the ship's captain. There's no quotation marks. We need to put them in. So this is where they go. What is the captain saying? Remember, the captain's speaking here. So quotation mark, it takes my ship 8 to 10 hours to travel through the canal. And there's my comma. My comma was already in my sentence because it's going to separate them anyway. Comma, quotation mark, said the ship's captain. So what did the captain say? This part. Did the captain say said the ship's captain? No, he didn't say that. You're not going to say something and then say your name, all right? So when I write, I have to explain what the person's saying. So in order to show that, my quotation marks go around what the person said, all right? And then it is broken between the two things with a comma, what they said and who said it, all right? Number 2 says, he said, without the canal, we would have to travel around South America to go from New York to California. Again, no quotation marks, so we have to think, what is this person saying? He said, comma, here's where he says it. So I need quotation marks. Without the canal, we would have to travel around South America to go from New York to California, period, quotation mark. So the quotation marks go around what the person says. The comma goes to in between, separating who said it and what they actually said. All right. Now, I want you to do numbers 3 through 10, and I just want you to do the odd ones. So 3, 5, 7, 9. So just 4 of them. So go ahead and do the odd numbers. Pause the video and do the odd ones in exercise 2. So 3, 5, 7, 9. 4 sentences. Go ahead and do that. All right, guys. So you should have the odd ones done in exercise 2. I'm just going to read them all. You follow along in your book and then also follow along on your board so that you know you have them correct. Number 3. The canal's locks are like giant stairs, the teacher said. Well, we need quotation marks, what the person said. So this is how number 3 should look. Quotation mark. The canal's locks are like giant stairs, quotation mark, comma, quotation mark. The teacher said. Number 4. She explained, comma, quotation mark, locks let water in and out to raise and lower ships, quotation mark. Number 5, this one you should have done, quotation mark, I read that a new canal may be needed, comma, quotation mark, said Mr. Michaels. Number 6, Yolanda asked, comma, quotation, why do people want a new canal? Question mark, quotation. Number 7, quotation, modern ships are much larger, comma, quotation, answered Robin. Number 8, Robin continued, comma, quotation, they cannot fit through this canal, period, quotation. Number 9, quotation, there may be a new canal in Mexico, comma, quotation, reported Fernando. And number 10, quotation, we can research the topic of a new canal, comma, quotation, suggested Madison. All right, in exercise 3, we have to put the comma and the quotation marks. So now you got to read that sentence and decide where am I going to put my comma and where am I going to put my quotation marks. So you look at number 1 while I erase my board. Okay. And number 1 says, we found some interesting facts. You know what? Maybe I'll write them on this one. This might be better. So we found some interesting facts about the canal, said Luis, or Lewis, however you want to say that one. Now, you decide what's being said and who is saying it. So you write down on your board, and I'll write on mine what the answer is. Okay. If you don't have yours, then just pause the video. So this is what it should, how it should be written. Quotation mark. We found some interesting facts about the canal, comma, quotation, said Luis. So the comma is separating who's talking and what they said. The quotation marks are around what the person said. Okay? All right, let's do number 2 together as well. So you read number 2 and write it down. All right. Anita said, comma, quotation, the canal has 3 sets of locks, period, quotation. So the comma separates who's speaking and what they say. Quotation marks go around exact words, okay? All right, I want you to pause the video and do the even numbers. So you need to do numbers 4, 6, 8, and 10. 4, 6, 8, and 10. All right, so you should have numbers 4, 6, 8, and 10. I'm going to read them as how they should be written, okay? Well, I'll do number 3 first. Number 3, 30 ships go through the canal every day, reported Edward. So this is how it should be written. Quotation mark, 30 ships go through the canal every day, comma, quotation, reported Edward. Number 4, quotation mark, a man once swam across the canal, comma, quotation mark, began Jake. Number 5, Jake continued, comma, quotation, he had to pay a toll for using the canal, exclamation point, and then your quotation. Number 6, I said, comma, quotation, a hydrofoil ship went through it in under 3 hours, period, quotation. Number 7, Mrs. Reekie asked, comma, quotation, do you know the nickname for the canal, question mark, quotation. All right, number 8, this is one that you should have done. Quotation, it's called the Big Ditch, comma, quotation, replied Emma. Number 9, Mrs. Ricci continued, comma, quotation, by how many miles did the canal shorten the trip, question mark, quotation. And then number 10, you should have said this, you should have done this one. Inez quickly responded, comma, quotation, a boat cuts about 8,000 miles off the trip from east to west, period, quotation. All right, good job, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. And I want you to open up your English workbook page. Where is it? Here we go. So workbook. Let's go to page, I forget what page it is. Let me find it. 116. Page 116. It looks like that. Okay. All right, so remember, comma separates the person saying the quote and what the person actually says. Quotation marks go around what the person said, okay? All right, at the top of page 116, direct quotations. A direct quotation contains the exact words a person says. Use quotation marks before and after the words of a speaker. Use a comma to set off what is said from the rest of the sentence. So, in numbers 1 through 6, add a comma to separate what is being said from the rest of the sentence. So there's quotation marks there. So remember, you got to separate from the person speaking and what they say. Numbers 7 through 13. Add quotation marks to each sentence to show the person's exact words. So read the sentence. Think, who's talking? What are they saying? Quotation marks around what they are saying. And then numbers 14, 15, and 16, rewrite each sentence adding a comma and quotation marks. So here you have to add both, the comma and the quotation marks. So read the sentence, think, who's speaking and what are they saying? Comma between, that separates both of those, and then quotation marks around what they are saying. Okay, guys? All right, and I want page 116. I want a picture of it. All right, excellent job today. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Parent Square, or write on Seesaw. Okay, guys? All right, don't forget to enjoy your day outside. Bye.